Welcome back to Restauranttopia. We have a cool episode from Dave Ross, copious show notes, very, very well done. Check it out. 3 challenges that face all restaurants and how to handle them.
Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restauranttopia.
I appreciate that, Brian. That was an amazing introduction.
Not bad.
Well
not
done.
Bad.
One take, Charlie.
Not bad. Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm good, but I see that your 4th energy drink's kicked in.
Oh no,
the caffeine level is at an acceptable.
Well, we talk
place.
A lot about caffeinated Brian. I think we're seeing him.
Okay.
Yeah, no question.
Well, and again, I'm drinking coffee right now from friends of ours at Mosina Coffee. If you're looking for a delicious coffee for your restaurant, or just a fan of coffee like I am, check out Mosina.
Couple local guys doing it the right way.
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
It's so good. It's just great coffee. Again, I love coffee, so I'm an expert.
There you go.
There's nothing that we support on the podcast we don't use ourselves. So
That's fair.
Yeah, that's a great point.
So let's talk about these challenges.
Okay, what are
that
they?
Are facing these restaurants. So the first one, I think. Now, I put this. Let me put this in a certain way. These are all challenges, but I'd almost like to call them opportunities.
Well, that's a positive mindset look on it, right?
A little bit, yeah. Because every challenge, it's what it is, right?
Yeah.
The first one, I think, the number one thing that is a challenge in restaurants is their menu. Okay. Because it is the greatest opportunity. Your menu is your number one marketing piece in your restaurant. It is everything. Okay.
I'm listening.
All right. I think to start off with, if you're going back to when you opened up your restaurant and you wanted to get your menu going, you got to decide who you want to be. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I think if you go back to episode 38 and 39 with Chip Close, he did an amazing job. If you haven't heard that episode, please stop this one, go back. Episode 38 and 39, Chip Close from Restaurant Strategy. Who are you for? You know what I mean? And he talks about who are you not for?
Yeah.
Maybe can help you get there even quicker.
Everybody.
We're there for everybody.
No,
who's your customer? Everybody.
No.
Come on.
But that's so real.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like the server that goes, well, what's good here? Everything's good.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like our podcast. We're for local independent restaurant owners and operators. We're not for national chains. We're not, talking about organization. We're not talking about anything else. We're talking about what affects local independent restaurants and how we can drive more money to the bottom line for those operators.
Well, that's our lane, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, that's it. Yeah.
But why do you think, as a pizza shop in Parma, Ohio, that you're for everybody? No, you have an audience. Target that audience. Serve that audience. Be there for them.
It's pretty hard, though, man. By nature, hospitality folks want to make everybody happy.
No. I think it's we want to be everything to everyone.
Of course.
No, to the detriment of everyone. Sometimes.
Absolutely. You become a generalist instead of a specialist, plain and simple.
Exactly.
Right.
No.
And some of the greatest operators, think about some of the greatest operators you've experienced. You go into the restaurants, and they're doing certain things excellent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I look at a group of restaurants down on the Columbus market that, they have one burger on the menu. They have one fish sandwich.
Yeah.
They have one veggie burger.
Yeah.
They have a very limited amount of salads.
Yeah.
But every single one is
amazing,
phenomenal.
Because narrowed their focus.
Exactly.
All their effort and energy goes into a very small, narrow scope of products, and their execution is 125%.
Right.
Period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. So what does that menu look like? Who are you trying to serve? I think the days of the Cheesecake Factory 20 pages
or like the New York diner.
You're exhausting your inventory, you're exhausting your space, you're exhausting the flow. Everything is become so spread out and thin and diluted. You know what I mean? Where if you really get down and say, okay, if you've got 12 burgers on your menu, if that's your concept burgers, okay, maybe I'm not talking to you, but I'm saying if you got 12 burgers on your menu and you look at them and 50%, 60%, 70% of the purchasing, that people are buying are within the top 3 or 4. What are you doing with the other 30%? Why are they there? Yeah.
But then when you narrow your selection, what happens? Inventory becomes easier, right? Because you take inventory to place your order, and then all of a sudden placing orders becomes easier and quicker because you only got 12 items. You just order more cases. Delivery becomes easier for the distributor. Receiving and storage become much easier because you got less, narrow.
Yeah, prep's easier and focused. Yep.
Cooking's easier. Serving's easier.
Everything.
Customers ordering easier. Staffing's easier because you can train them on a more narrow scope. And real estate becomes easier because you don't need such a big footprint now.
I love that.
And so all the way through the process, it becomes cheaper, easier, and more efficient. And it's like, well, why doesn't everybody do this? You know?
No, it's the disease of everything for everything for everybody. Yeah.
And we need to have a tuna melt. We need to have this. We need to have.
Well, here's the trick. I'm sorry to interrupt, but that restaurant you're speaking of, these are all the call outs that they have. And they have 17 menu items. And Thai, Mexican, Italian, American, Indian, vegan, healthy, organic, fresh, regional, fusion, house-made sandwiches, blah, 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 blah. All those call-outs on one menu is 17 items. There's the mastery. That's how you do it.
17 items.
17 items, and they have 20-some call-outs within those 17 items.
So that leads right into my second point on the menu. So decide who you want to be, and then what is the size of the menu? Limited selections. Do you have wow factors in every category? Is there something, even if you don't want to get as narrow to 17, but if you've got in each category of your menu, do you have something that is just, you have it and you're like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like, it's just so good. I know there's a place in Cleveland called Town Hall, and there's a salad they have called the Harvest Salad.
Yeah.
I get it every time. I can't not get it. It is the most amazing salad you will eat. It's phenomenal.
It's a definition of craveability.
I get it every single time. I don't know how to order anything else. And their menu's great. Like, they have other good things, but that salad, I can't not get it.
I get their poke bowl every single time. That's what I get. It's got 3 sauces.
Yeah.
I get all 3 on the side. It is amazing. Have that craveability. Execute. I love what you said, Anthony. Execute 125%. That's what you need to do. Don't execute having a selection of 35 items, in one category. Like, execute one item in that category amazingly.
Well, and that's what happens too. Like, you went to burgers, so you have like 12 to 14 burgers on your menu, right? Which is fine. But you're not giving anybody a reason to order anything other than a burger. Does that make sense? And you have a Philly cheesesteak that's like a higher value, maybe a better profit margin, or you have that harvest salad or whatever, but people keep falling into your burgers. They all of a sudden they identify you as a burger joint when you're not a burger joint, right? Because you have too many of those items on your menu. I love the courage and kind of audacity it takes to just say, we have one burger, we have one fish sandwich, and we have one pork sandwich. Deal.
But they're amazing.
Well, that's the kicker, right? And you got to establish that craveability, and that's not very easy to do, by the way. But
that takes some intestinal fortitude to put one burger on there. Like, it better be good.
Well, and
because if somebody has that burger and they're like,
you know what I mean? Right? Yeah, that part sucks.
No, as a consumer, again, we talk about this all the time. Put yourself in the place of the customer. Experience the restaurant through the eyes of the customer, through the taste buds of the customer. Eat that burger. Is it amazing?
Yeah.
It needs to be amazing. You have to, this is your life's work. That burger, is this the last thing you want someone to taste? If they're going to eat one meal, this is the last thing you want them to taste?
That's funny, because I ask that a lot at places.
What's your death row meal?
Yeah, I ask that a lot to servers, when they're like, can I answer any questions and everything? I'm like, well, if this was my last meal, what should I order? Yeah. I use that a lot, and
that's
just
awesome.
to see how they respond and what they offer.
No, you're gonna meet your maker tomorrow, and this is the meal that you're gonna eat. You're gonna walk out to your car and have a massive heart attack in the parking lot, and this shitty burger is what you're gonna eat.
Boy, that's Brian. You know how to paint a picture. Man.
I don't know.
There's no question, man. No question.
Is that your legacy? That's what you want to put out in the world. That he's meeting. Who do you meet at the gate? Peter or Paul?
Ringo, I think.
Oh shit! The drummer. Who's the talentless hack that follows around the band with all the equipment? The drummer.
So the third point on the menu I want to go into is pricing. You know what I mean? So how do you establish pricing? Have you benchmarked it against your local competition, your national competition? I'm going to give this to Brian to put in the show notes, but there's an analysis I did in fact, it's dated in 2011. Cool. For a local, it was about a 6-unit sports bar chain that we service versus Chili's versus Red Robin versus Fridays. And what it did was it broke down, the number of items per category, the minimum pricing in that category, and the maximum pricing in that category. And it kind of gives you a price elasticity. How do you have low entry points? How many items do they have in the category? And all those things, and goes through appetizers, salads, sliders, and you can kind of see. But are you benchmarking yourself versus some local competition out there? Yeah. And it's a very simple spreadsheet. You can go through this, and it'll show you the total menu items. And you once you have it, it's kind of like we could talk about it, but once you have it in front of you and you see it, it means once.
Can
it's on
I tell
paper.
you what most people do? What I was taught to do? So I'm making a tuna melt because I bought 3-4 feet of tuna for my purveyor, and I had some left over. I like that.
Nice.
And cooked it off, made a great tuna salad sandwich. And I'm putting a tuna club on my menu, and I cost it out, and it comes to $2.50, right? That's what I got in the plate. I don't bother looking at what the place down the road is charging. I don't bother looking at what the national chains are charging. I just mark it up 3 times and call it a day. Our price is $7.50. I have a 33% food cost. The boss is going to be happy. Everybody's going to be happy, and that's it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I don't know that the going rate for a tuna sandwich is $12.50. So I'm shorting myself $5 every sandwich I sell. But that word elasticity, what your market's going to tolerate from a pricing standpoint, until you poke your head out and take a look around, you have no idea what you can actually get away with.
Sure.
So instead of 33%, that tuna sandwich could become 20% now and become a star of my menu.
Right.
Oh, and by the way, it's amazing.
And I don't love get away with. I love what do you value that tuna sandwich?
That's fair.
At?
It's not about a heist.
And I don't mean value in the cheap sense of the word discount. I'm talking about what is it worth to that consumer? Are you providing an amazing experience for the money? And if that tuna sandwich is next level,
It is.
$13-14, it's totally reasonable, whatever it is. And again, your marketplace is going to tell you, but don't be the discount purveyor. Have something on the menu for a low entry point, which we talk about a lot. I think that's a pro move. But also, man, when you have great food, charge for it.
Well, yeah, and I think there's 2 things here. I think the low entry point gives, because sometimes you go in and when you go into a place, you've got a certain amount of money you want to spend.
Yeah,
right. But you got a $20 bill, so you want a nice sandwich, you want a side, and you want maybe a couple of beverages, adult beverages. Okay, you've got that.
Yep.
But when you come in and every appetizer is $8-9 and up. Like, is there any chance you're getting an appetizer? No, that's half of your budget.
Yeah.
Okay, but if I've got chips and salsa, or I've got something, I've got some low entry points that are $3 or $2.50 or $4, all of a sudden that becomes an option for somebody.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't have otherwise done. But if you're, but how many menus do you see that every appetizer starts at $10?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
Well, you costed a bunch of people out. I
Well,
would rather make
yeah.
a $4 sale than no sale.
exactly,
Right.
exactly.
So it's a double-edged sword. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And get that.
And I'm not saying the whole appetizer section needs to be in that range, but
No.
if you should have a couple things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's the Red Robin. What Red Robin was genius. That was their burger entry model. So Red Robin had burgers, and maybe it's not so genius now because I think they're probably not doing so good. But they kind of revolutionized that concept.
Too many microwaves.
Yeah, is that what it comes down to?
I
Right?
think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's you can see it glowing at night when all the microwaves are
The radiation,
being-
yeah.
It's very nice.
So what they did is they had those burger menus, and they had the avocado, double bacon, triple cheese, brioche bun smash, whatever the hell is a $15 burger. Scares a lot of people. But they also had a $7 burger.
Right.
Yeah.
So you could walk in there and get a plain Jane for $7, or if you were someone who appreciated all that stuff on your burger, you could pay
that option
$15.
too,
Right.
Well, and again, my second point on this, and Brian, said this very well, is like when you put the appropriate price on the item for the quality, like there's also a psychological thing that when you see something cheap, it could be cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It
when you
doesn't
see
carry the same
something,
value.
Yeah. So
Yep.
when you see something a little bit more, you might balk or you might think about it, but you're like, $15 for a tuna sandwich, like, oh, that might be really good. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, listen, that place you're talking about in Columbus, $15 for a veggie burger.
Yeah.
I order that veggie burger even before
the
I.
best veggie burger ever.
It's amazing,
It's-
and I don't mind.
This is not a frozen patty they pulled out
No.
of a box and slapped on a flat top. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And it's all soy,
Yeah.
chemicals and stuff like that. That is a great veggie burger. There's a restaurant, there's a pizza place in Cleveland that says, and it's one of our customers, awesome operators. You could buy a cheaper pizza, but then you'd have to eat it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
And it's true.
I think that's on a billboard somewhere.
Yeah. No, it's true. And it's so genius because it's like you can get horrible, horrible cheap pizzas. But do you
$5
want
a piece even.
Yeah, do you want that? Do you want
Well, and there's a place for that. You know what I mean? Like, again, it goes back to, what situation you're in. You need something just to fill the kids' stomachs, and spend a little bit of money. Like, it might work. It doesn't mean it's bad.
No.
Okay. But, if you're going to go out and spend quality money, like you want a quality product.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Just don't eat that pizza 5 days a week. That's
Sure.
all.
Yeah. I wouldn't
That's the
recommend that. And then the last point on the menu is how often do you analyze it? You know what I mean? I believe that you've got to analyze your menu twice a year. I think that's the minimum.
At least.
I think it's probably that could send some operators into a panic because they might not even be doing it once a year.
Yeah.
But you got to look at it twice a year. So if you go back to episode 18 and the menu engineering that Brian and Anthony did, that's amazing stuff. So go back and listen to that episode. take those notes, reach out to us. You need to pull the POS. You got to look through your top movers. You got to do all those things. Where's your plow horses? Where's your stars? Where's your dogs? All those different things to categorize it and know where you should make moves on your menu.
That's your pro tip.
Yeah.
Go to your POS. Pull the data. Stop guessing. Just go to the POS system. Everything is there. Look at it. Run reports. There should be reports run every month.
No, and this is your livelihood. Every penny matters. You know what I mean? So if you can make a pricing move or remove an item or make it easier for a customer to decide, like all those things, you have to analyze it because it's the information's there. The customer is telling you with that data what they want to do.
This is your sport. Be a student of the game. I already know you are. You're listening to Restauranttopia. You're constantly seeking out new information. This is a little bit of the homework that you need to do, and it's going to benefit you. You're going to be a much, much better operator than the guy down the street. I mean, we already know it because you're listening to the podcast.
Boom. Can we talk about that craveability thing? And in the spirit of the conversation we were talking about earlier, is a lot of times, people in our position tell people what to do, but not how to do it. And that craveability thing, we make it sound so easy, but you know how damn hard that is as an operator? It's essentially what becomes a signature menu and their menu item. And as a chef, I've had to develop quite a few menu items. I would say like 5% of them stick and become craveable, right? But I didn't have the process down. And so real quick, if I were to give anybody like the how and why or how to do that, if you're making a burger and you want it to be craveable, break it down into a step-by-step process, right? And I love lists, so I'm listing out every single aspect of that burger. What's the best burger that I have in mind? Certainly I've had an amazing burger or two that I would like to emulate. But start with the bun. Look at a bunch of buns. Pick the very best bun you can possibly have. Next up, most important thing is the patty, right? So try a bunch of patties. Get the very best patty and try them with your favorite bun. Every single patty across the board, try them with that bun. Then move on to cheese, then move on to lettuce, then move on to sauces. By the end of it, if you haven't eaten 100 burgers, you probably didn't do your job. You're probably not going to have that craveable item.
And also, we're talking about making one burger craveable. You have 15 burgers on your menu. Do you think you can make 15 craveable? That's tough.
No, I think you just murk the waters, man.
I think you're spot on, Dave. I think this is really great and actionable items that an operator can use today that will benefit their operation.
You can never forget that the menu is your best salesperson. Period.
Yeah.
Well, no question. No, it's a great way to finish it up. So that's what we've got on menu. So the second challenge all right, number 2 on the challenges the restaurants face that I have here is service. Okay. Again, another opportunity. Okay, so how are we?
Huge opportunity.
And I think you go back to, I apologize, I don't know the episode, maybe episode 4 or so. We talked about culture and hiring and those things. Yeah. So it all kind of starts with that. So how are we hiring? How are we training? How are we retaining? And how are we recalibrating? Okay, so consistently interviewing and hiring as you meet great people. I think that's something Anthony talked a lot about in that episode. Like if he had to go back and do it all over again, you're gonna interview
every day.
You've got a full staff.
I won't
you're gonna
stop.
interview. You need people. You're gonna interview. You don't need people. You're gonna interview. You got more people than you need. You're gonna interview. There is a percentage of turnover in this industry. You want to try to, with your training, your retention, your recalibration, stay ahead of that and have better turnover than your competition. But you're still gonna have it. Okay, it's gonna happen. So how do we consistently see a lot of people, get a lot of reps, and when you find somebody great or somebody that fits, bring them into the organization, okay? And then how do we train them properly? I was looking up some stats. 40%, okay? 40% of people quit work in restaurants for the following reasons, okay? 40%.
40%.
Okay?
Almost half.
Wait, how many percent?
40%.
Oh, okay, 40%.
40.
Okay, gotcha.
Not trained enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
Different work than they expected.
Expectations.
Felt neglected. Or overwhelmed.
Okay.
So those 4 things, I believe, can be eliminated with proper training.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
I would say 100%.
Okay. So 40% of your turnover potentially, okay, can be taken away with proper training.
Can I shock you for a second?
Please.
Okay. Cornell Hospitality, whatever their business school is called. $5,684. That's how much it costs to turn over one hourly employee in the restaurant business.
Wow.
$150,000, and this is according to the National Restaurant Association. $150,000 is the average amount spent on turnover per restaurant in the United States annually. $150,000. So when we say training's so expensive, or I can't afford them to have to train them for 2 weeks, if you can eliminate 40% of your turnover, you just profited, right? You just profited.
I think I could hear Brad right now. He's like, "Wouldn't you like to have $150,000 sitting next to you in the car?"
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
To me, that seems good.
Yeah, that's it. Just one man's opinion.
I mean, like, I got like a $20 bill riding shotgun now. Like,
Yeah, so think about it. You could spend time beating up your purveyors.
Yep.
You could spend time cheapening your ingredients. You could spend time over exhausting your pricing and beating your customers up.
Yeah.
Or you could train people properly.
I would love to simplify my menu and complicate my processes to where I'm focusing on reduction of turnover because it's everything.
Yeah.
Putting systems in place is so key. We've had so many great episodes about systems. Listen to those episodes, digest that, and train. And then when you think you're done training, train some more.
Yeah. And then that goes into my next point on this is retention of employees. So when you train them properly, you will retain better. But then what are you doing after they're trained to keep them retrained, to keep them going? So are you doing 90-day reviews? Do you have a checklist to go through and rate them? Okay. Something I think you could have a lot of fun with is if you have a list of things that you want to, rate the employees as they go and progress in your company, give it to them first, have them rate themselves.
Yeah.
You rate them and then come back and have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think that could not only, maybe an entertaining and fun way to do it, but it also will align the expectations with the employee and yourself and what's going on. Because if they think they've got, this amazing, quality and you're not thinking the same thing, all of a sudden you got a conversation that sparks from that. So I don't know if, to me, that seems like something that could resonate with an employee-employer relationship, but maybe not in all aspects. But again, it's the candidness. It's okay. What can you really get better at? Are you self-aware?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Anthony's got a ton.
Oh no, I'm just mulling that over. I'm trying to think of all the outcomes of like.
I felt it click back. It was like.
No, not at all. I'm just thinking, I was like, man, that's pretty good. I like that. It could be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
And I was trying to think all the ways to poo-poo on your point, like how can that backfire? Quite frankly, if you hired the right type of person, they're going to be humble and they're going to be modest in those things. So most likely they're going to underscore themselves.
Well, even if you messed up on the hire, and you get into a difficult conversation, unless your perspective is completely, unless you're making stuff up, my perception is you're not as good as you think you are at this.
And
that's a great point, man.
It goes back to what you said earlier, expectations.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have that, and I would provide that in the onboarding process. All right, these are the things that we're going to look at and we're going to talk about in 60, 90 days, whatever it is. I want you to be thinking about that. So if customer service and smiling and interaction with fellow staff is important to you and you list that there, they're going to be cognitive and aware of that and thinking about that throughout their work.
Especially since they look up to you.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great episode. That is a great episode. If you haven't listened to it, everyone is a role model.
Yeah, no, for sure. And if you go back to episode 41, we talked about the complaints that restaurants get and how to handle them, the service. I don't think your employees are walking around thinking they have crummy attitudes.
Correct.
Nobody wakes up and goes, man, my attitude really sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to tell them.
Could you talk in that voice perfectly?
It's his old-timey voice.
Yeah, I love it.
So on service, and then recalibrate where needed. Okay, so retrain, recalibrate. If you're doing reviews, you're finding places where people are weaker, don't be afraid to retrain people. Just because somebody's been here a year and you see something going off track, get back in there and retrain them.
I love that, man, because it happens so often. And I'd say as an industry, we don't do a great job of professional development in general. Every now and again, we send the chef out to a different city to get some influence. But past that, there should be a periodical retrain. You're absolutely right about that. Recalibrate the system. Make sure everybody's on the same page. Because we regress to the mean. It's entropy, right? So you have this straight and narrow path initially, but then as time goes on, people just gravitate towards the mean because it's easier and the path of least resistance.
And why do people leave? No room for growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No continued development.
Yeah.
They don't feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
All the reasons, and I could go on with another 20 reasons, but all the reasons they leave, that retraining and that extra touch point could alleviate.
Or they've been there for 5 years and been a stellar employee, and you yell at them because they did something wrong and they had no idea that it was wrong because you didn't bother retraining them. Right. You didn't bother setting the expectations.
Or you let them get away with it 400 times and then you just blew up, which it's not their fault. It's your fault.
Or what might even be worse, you never address it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden
Yeah.
they're doing things that affect your bottom line and your customers and the loyalty of your customers. Like that to me is a disservice to them. It's a disservice to your business, and it's a disservice to yourself.
And what about the people that look up to them and model their behavior?
Absolutely.
And now everybody's veering that way.
No question.
Yeah.
Just because somebody's been with you a long time doesn't mean they can't get off track and you can't set them down and recalibrate, retrain, whatever it is. You know?
Or I'll go one step further.
Remember their name.
That's a good idea.
Remember the name, yeah.
That's a good idea.
I'll go one step further. Maybe we were doing it wrong before, and we're just updating our process. Like it's an evolution. You want to get better. You're striving to get better. You're listening to Restaurantopia. You're doing these things. Let's train up new procedures, new systems in place.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't have Anthony talks about checklists all the time. You didn't have a checklist before. Now there's a checklist. Start using it. Those sorts of things that you can retrain on and get better.
Yeah, I love rehashing old protocols, and then anytime you make a rule change, train on it.
Yeah.
Always be training, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. So it seems daunting, but this is going to be a weakness if you don't focus on it. The service, this is a challenge.
It seems daunting because it seems like a chore and it seems like an expense, but you really got to look at it as an opportunity and investment.
Yep.
And those words vary drastically from the two former words that we said. But again, the common outlook is that it's a negative thing. It's very positive.
Yeah.
Invest in it.
No, for sure.
Your return to be exponential.
Love it.
And then the last point I want to just go through here is something that is a huge challenge in life in general, but in the restaurant business is complacency. I think that there is tons of places where, and you've probably heard yourself say this, and I know I've found myself saying it from time to time, it's no big deal, it happens. And that is the start of complacency and potentially the end of great things. So I think we've all been there. I think we've all been complacent in certain aspects of our life. But when you're talking about your business, and whether you're running the business, you own the business, you're part of the business, whatever it is, having that complacency is not going to get you where you need to be. So strive for perfection with the realization that you're not going to hit it. I think that I stole this maybe from you, or
That was said to me day one of culinary school by President Tim Ryan, and it hit me like a ton of bricks at 22 years old.
Yeah.
Even if you don't own the place, you're a front of house manager, you're an AGM, whatever position you have in the organization, treat it like you own it. Don't get complacent. Just, you're a better human being than that. Strive to be better, constantly be learning. Opportunities will open up to you the better you get. And I'm telling you, everyone is watching you. Just like Anthony had in our past episode that everyone's a role model. Everyone is an opportunity. People are watching you to promote you, to ask you to joint venture on something, to ask you to be a partner in a new location. People are picking players in life, friends, business partners. Strive to do better. You are an amazing human being, but you have the intellectual curiosity and work ethic to make it happen.
How do you avoid complacency, though? What do you have any tricks or pro tips or anything like that?
Student of the game. You have to be a student of the game. The moment you take your foot off the gas and you just coast, you're going backwards.
Okay.
There's no coasting in life. You have to be a student of the game. And are you coaching yourself up? Whether it's training, whether it's point of sale, whether it's social media, whether it's marketing in general, or is it customer relations? Is it management of your staff? Whatever it is in your operation, be a student of the game and constantly be moving forward. You need to better your operation because everyone else out there is competing against you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something Brian said to me a few months back that really changed my perspective and probably changed my life a little bit was he says, he said, I hope I don't butcher this, but it was, I know everything because I know nothing. And I'm like, man.
Is this guy Confucius over here?
A little bit, because it hit me. I'm like, whoa, that's pretty good. So basically what that means is, you're always trying to learn. You don't know everything, so you're always trying to learn. You know what I mean? You're always trying to grow. You're, like you said, a student of the game. And so this is, and we say game, like this is life. Like this is a big part of your life, this restaurant business, and you're doing this for a reason because you got passion and drive and hospitality in your veins. Yeah. You know what I mean? So be the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think it's important too. And what I was hoping to coax out of you is it may be something like, okay, you're complacent. Are you in the wrong sport? Are you burnout? That sort of thing. You got to find those triggers, those things. Again, going back to Paul Saginaw, we've mentioned this a million episodes. Go say hi to the guests. Get reinvigorated. Stoke that flame again of why you're in the business in the first place. Those mundane tasks that you hate, the ones that you don't want to open your car door for, you were talking about earlier.
Delegate it.
Exactly. Get rid of those. Get those off your plate and get back to the lane, especially if you're in a position of leadership or ownership and you have the power to do so. Get back in the lane of doing the stuff that you love to do. because that passion's infectious.
Correct.
You know,
I agree.
There's someone who loves social media. There's someone on your staff who loves putting together spreadsheets. And all this stuff that you hate to do, I guarantee you could find someone to do it.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no question. So just to sum up, work on the menu. Make sure you know who you are. Make sure that what's the size of the menu, what's the pricing. Are you doing benchmarking? Are you analyzing it? Like do all those things. On the service end, make sure customer service is everything. Okay, your customers, you want them to feel good, come back, make raging fanatics of your business. So how are you hiring? How are you training? Retaining and recalibrating, and then get rid of complacency. Do your best. And maybe you can't 100% do it because we're all human. But at the end of the day, like have a standard and abide by it.
Well, you can't allow complacency. You can't allow that regression to the mean. Your standards are everything, and if you can't uphold your standards, then don't even bother with the standards.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
No question.
I love it.
And just to finish it up, I'd like to really show my gratitude for our sponsor, Hillcrest Foods, amazing company in food service distribution. So if you're a local independent restaurant out there looking for world-class distribution and just generally good people, please check them out at hillcrestfoods.com.
Thanks so much.
Have a great day, everybody.
Yeah, awesome. Great episode.
Yeah, that was a good show, Dave.
That's
high quality pod.
Yeah, no, that's I've heard that before.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
Love to look at these show notes.
Work in progress? Or are they?
I just study
I haven't
mine.
seen any fucking show notes from you.
Fucking, you shit all over them. You think I'm going to send those out into the world right here?
I heard him verbally and I had to blast him.
Will you guys record your next meeting, please? Because
We should just have a mic in your office.
Yeah. Oh my
just
God.
to record. He goes, make sure you're funny tomorrow because I ran out of outtakes the last time we recorded. I go, I thought the whole premise was we're not funny. No.
I said, no, they are not funny. We are hilarious.
We are hysterical.
I mean, people say hysterical.
It has been said.
Is that why you tell everybody else it's not funny? Like, don't be funny. You're not. Or
No,
don't-
because my friend thinks he's funny.
Oh, that sucks.
It's like, just do your job.
Most.
Oh, snap. That was only one challenge?
I was only
Oh, this is going to be a 4-hour
I know.
episode.
It's
No,
20,
we're moving quicker.
Okay, it's 20 minutes into it. So,
Are we?
yeah.
You want to cut it?
No, I don't know. When you put down beautiful pod, I can't help it. Like it's
Yeah, we're in passion, yeah.
Pod goes where the pod goes.
That's fair.